what's going on, guys? It is FoxyDude98 here, and welcome back to a brand new F1 2017 career mode video for you guys today here on my channel. Today I am back for the Canadian Grand Prix, and we are going to get straight into things. If you guys do end up enjoying today's video, don't forget to drop a like, that'd be absolutely awesome. Subscribe if you're new around here as well. And without further ado, let's get straight into things. So as you can see, then we're going through the R&D tree and having a look at where we really want to make improvements to this car. At the moment, we've got the best chassis, aerodynamics, and powertrain. So overall, we've got the best car on the grid, but I definitely want to have a look at potentially making an upgrade somewhere down the line. But like I said many times, I want to bring a very, very big package to this Mercedes car. So if I win the championship, if I win both titles, I'll leave Mercedes most probably and go and do it somewhere else. But I want to bring a massive package to Mercedes so that when I go to a new team, if I win the championship, I want to make it as tough as possible to beat a really, really strong team and really make me have to work for the races. So that's the plan. But anyway, it's time for full focus mode in this Grand Prix. If you guys haven't watched the last episode, I always leave a link in the description to the previous episode of every single episode. Confusing, I know. But in the last episode, at Monaco, if you guys haven't watched it, go watch it before I spoil it, we actually crashed out at the Monaco Grand Prix, and it was a nightmare of a race. Hated the track, hated the setup, I hated it all. It was basically a whining video. But today, here for Canada, it's full focus mode now. I need to get my head down, concentrate, because the championship has been blown wide open once again for anybody to come and clinch the top spot. And here in Canada, this is a track that I absolutely love. So we've gone from a track that I hate to a track that I love. Now, it's not my favourite track on the calendar. My favourite track of all time in F1 games and in F1 is Spa, and it will always be Spa because Belgium is amazing. But in terms of facing against the AIs at Canada, they are very easy to face against. So this is one of the tracks that I've noticed AIs aren't very good around, and I want to take full advantage of that and get straight into things. But anyway, practice programs, we have been working very, very hard. We've got a purple in all of the practice programs, every single one of them: track acclimatization, fuel saving, tyre wear test, qualifying simulation run, and the race strategy program. Purple in everything, and there is a huge amount of resource points, up to 1,400 resource points. And Emma's going to come across with us with now a brand new rival. Obviously, unfortunately, last time out we actually lost our rivalry to Lewis Hamilton due to the crash that we had. And I was really disappointed about that. So Emma's coming giving us a new rival instead. And it's actually Sebastian Vettel, who is second in the World Championship. So despite losing to Hamilton, she's given us a slightly tougher rival, because in terms of the championship position, Vettel's doing better than Hamilton is. So overall, it's going to be quite difficult. But the qualifying objectives, they're as ridiculous as ever. Is to finish on the front row, qualify on the front row, and also beat Sebastian Vettel. As we look at the laptop for a swift second here, I think we might make an upgrade. I don't really know at this moment in time. Or do I make any sort of component changes? Alright, so I'm checking the components. So at this stage, I was seeing which component was fresher than the other. And then I was working upon that, because I'm still on my second power unit, my first and second power units, and I want to try and get these to at least maybe the British Grand Prix if possible. But at the moment, in terms of engine management, we're doing a very good job with it. But into qualifying we go, and it was intermediate conditions, and I'm just going to put it out here. If you want to race against the AIs on a very hard difficulty, for your liking that is, race against the AIs in the intermediate weather conditions. Because trust me, they suck. And do you want to know why they suck? Because in Q1 we were a second quicker. Yeah, I haven't changed anything. They're genuinely a second slower. The AIs around Canada in the intermediates are dreadful, basically. And luckily for me, it was intermediate conditions throughout the entire qualifying session, so I was about to have a load of fun here. Into Q2 we go then. Kimi Raikkonen has currently set the fast lap time for 1:22.2, so I thought I would just take that off the top step and do a 1:20.8, 1.2 seconds quicker than Mr. Raikkonen. And eventually Hamilton does get into the 21s, still 0.8 of a second slower. So at the moment, we're just absolutely rolling away with this one. This is a very easy Grand Prix at the moment, but this is only qualifying. That doesn't mean it's all going to go well in the race, so we need to be careful of that. Into Q3 we go then. Qualifying has been complete, and Lewis Hamilton's qualifying time to beat is 1:23.1, which is a hell of a lot slower than his Q2 lap of a 21.8. So I was all full of confidence when I saw this lap time coming up, and as we come across the final chicane now, making the charge towards the start-finish line, we're going to set a 1:20.6, or I think it was then, to basically absolutely smash the pole position time, and that is, I think, my 4th pole position in Formula 1 in my career modes, and there it is. We were 1.1 seconds faster than everybody else in this race. Canada, like I said, Canada is a track that you will really do well against the AIs at, and if there's a race that you don't do well at and it's Canada, you might tend to struggle quite a bit for the rest of the season. That's not an offensive thing, it's just a general, you will struggle if you can't beat the AIs at Canada. This is your best shot at getting it, and I've seen a lot of YouTubers winning races in slower tier team cars, like, for example, Canada. Go back to season 1 of my career mode, in fact, in my Force India, I dominated the Canadian Grand Prix by over 15 seconds, and that's in a Force India. But anyway, picking up the resource points, then we've got 1,500 resource points in terms of the rivalry update with Vettel. Off to a very positive start there, and in the team approval and everything. We're going to boost these back up after we lost out to them due to the crash in Monte Carlo. But anyway, having a look at the session goals, then it's going to be to finish in the top 2, beat Sebastian Vettel. Let's get into the race.
Canada. Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. It's Mercedes in pole position then, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Raikkonen, Max Verstappen and Ricciardo, Massa, Perez, Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg, Sainz, Grosjean, Daniel Kvyat and Magnussen, Stroll, Palmer, Fernando Alonso and Stoffel van Dorn, Wehrlein and Marcus Ericsson rounds off the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright then guys, as you can see, we're on the grid now for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix, and as you can see, it's pretty much going to be an absolute washout here at Montreal. So, as you can see, we're going to be starting off in the dry, which is why, of course, we've got the dry compound tyres on. I'm going to overfuel the car quite a little bit because of that wet weather period is going to come. And just before we start the race, I was going to start on the super soft tyres, and I genuinely accidentally thought that they were the best tyre compound. And then I realised it was the Ultra Softs. Because the rain is going to come pretty much instantaneously, there's no point in starting on the super soft tyres. I'll just get compromised. And unfortunately, my teammate Lewis Hamilton is starting on the super soft tyres, so he's going to get horribly compromised in this Grand Prix. But nonetheless, now onto the formation lap we go. And as you can see, we're on the grids here for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. We've got 5 red lights here for the start of this Canadian Grand Prix, and it is lights out. There we go here for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. A brilliant getaway from us, a great start here. Sebastian Vettel though getting a very good start as well, and Lewis Hamilton behind now as we look to try and cement our position in the lead here. Lewis Hamilton in second place though, he's side by side with Sebastian Vettel now. Can Lewis Hamilton hold the 1-2 for Mercedes towards now this second chicane here? Vettel took it down the inside and Hamilton gets demoted down into third place. Raikkonen is fourth, the 2 Red Bulls following on behind as we then cut back to the lead screen, which is ourselves here. We're already 9/10 clear in this Canadian Grand Prix as we look to pull away now from the rest of the field here. A good start from our perspective. Now we need to move onwards onto lap 2 of the Grand Prix, start of lap 3, and it's the new fastest lap of the race so far of 1:13.5 with the gap at 2.8 seconds already after just 3 laps in this Grand Prix. I am absolutely flying. And further back though, there was a lot of drama that happened on the previous set of laps here. So Lewis Hamilton is trying to chase down Sebastian Vettel. This is on lap 1 here. Raikkonen is trying to go for a move, but Hamilton locks up horribly into the chicane. He compromises his line, smashes Raikkonen into the wall there. Some front wing has gone through and there's some damage there, and that's brought loads of people now in the background to try and get in on this action here. And look at Hamilton, he's being absolutely swarmed. My teammate off to a horrible start. Raikkonen makes the move stick. Ricciardo goes around the outside, and then he changes that to the inside line, and he's gone through on Lewis Hamilton, and he's now been dropped down to 5th place, and it just doesn't get any better for Lewis Hamilton, because now Sergio Perez is fancying a run on Lewis Hamilton. So I think Hamilton's got a problem, because he's just falling down the order. As we come into the chicane now, I'm trying to look at his braking points. Raikkonen pits, and once again, look, Hamilton struggles in the braking points. I think Hamilton's got a brake problem because he's not braking for corners as Perez now goes to run towards the inside line in towards turn 1. This should be a nice move for Perez. And again, look, Hamilton locks up horribly there, loses out to Verstappen, loses it to Massa, and he's stuck behind Ocon. And I genuinely do think, unfortunately, Lewis Hamilton has got a brake problem in this race. And on to lap 7 of the Grand Prix now. We're skipping back to my POV, and that's someone in the wall there. And that's Lewis Hamilton, my teammate, has stuffed it into the wall of champions there. And I do now believe he has now been lapped in this Grand Prix after just 7 laps a brake problem for Lewis Hamilton means he's pretty much out of the race. He'll probably continue to the end of the race, but he has a brake problem and just can't slow the car down. And that's really horrible, which means now, for the second race running, Mercedes-Benz are going to have only 1 point scorer to finish. But this is a little bit further back. I spotted this as Hulkenberg goes into the side of Lance Stroll there. And then Kvyat goes into the back. But hang on a minute, look at this. Hulkenberg is on full wet tyres. This is not a tyre glitch from replay cams. He's genuinely on full wet tyres. He locks up and parks it on the apex of the curb. And Lance Stroll goes into the back of him. This was about a lap before the Hamilton incident. But yeah, I checked through the drivers. Hulkenberg's on full wets. And so's Kvyat. Like, why are they on full wet tyres? You saw that obviously Lewis Hamilton was up the order, which shows it was a couple of laps back. But why Kvyat was on, why Hulkenberg and co are on full wet tyres at the start of this race, I have no idea. But on to lap 9 of the Grand Prix now, and all the action, all the chaos, all the drama is going on behind me. I'm having a very clean race out front. We're going to put on the intermediate tyres, and at this point, I was just going to sit back, relax, go onto YouTube, look at some songs, and probably play some, because it's been a very calm ride. I might have to get my own radio station in my cockpit, because it's that nice and simple. But coming out of the pits now, you can see we've got a huge gap. I believe the gap was 8.6 seconds after 9 laps. Oh, it's 11.7 apparently, so it's even bigger than I expected. But onto lap 10 of the Grand Prix now, and we're just continuing on. The gap is 13.1 seconds, showing you guys that I am just in a world of my own. I'm 20 seconds clear of Ricciardo after just 10 laps. And that's what I mean by this is crazy. But have a look there down into the chicane. I was actually busy looking at the gaps. You might have seen a yellow flag at the chicane, and this was why. We've got 3 wide here in towards the chicane now. We've got a Haas going into the side of a Williams here. And then, oh, and the Williams just clipped a Toro Rosso there. So a bit of chaos there. Just into the chicane, and here we go then. So Massa, I believe Magnussen's trying to pit. Massa locks up. The Haas goes straight into the back of Massa. Massa then parks it on the apex, and then Sainz comes and collects Felipe's front wing. So a little bit of chaos there in that corner. But onto lap 13 of the Grand Prix, and we've got some yellow flags, and it's the Toro Rosso in front of us about to park it up here of Danny Kvyat. He's out of the Canadian Grand Prix and does trigger the virtual safety car as I clip the wall there, just being distracted by Kvyat DNFing in front of us. And then we can continue on the way as the heavy rain now begins to fall and the track conditions begin to slowly get worse and worse in this Grand Prix. And you can see the yellow flag still there for Kvyat, and now we're riding on board against Nico Hulkenberg, but we're coming into the pits. So no, we're not. I lied. We're not coming to the pits. I thought we were, but we're not. We're going to lap Nico Hulkenberg for this Grand Prix on to lap 14 now. Lap 15, and we're catching up to Lance Stroll. We've got the alternate strategy to go into the wet tyres, and now I feel it is time to go onto the wet tyres. The rain is coming down very heavily now. Track conditions extremely slippery, and it is time. But in towards the hairpin now. We're going to go down the inside of Lance Stroll here to lap him in this Grand Prix. And you can see, look, the conditions just very tough as Stroll tries a cheeky switchback, but even though we went very wide, we're still going to get better traction. Now, Lewis Hamilton does make his pit stop for a set of the 4 wet tyres, which is going to hold me up in the pit stops. It's only going to be ever so slightly, maybe by about a second or so, because eventually you can see that the pit there says it's red, but as soon as I brake towards coming into the pits, it will say to come in for, it will turn into green. But we are going to be slightly held up because the mechanics won't be 100% ready for my car to come in. And as you can see there, just waiting a little bit, and now. So it's about a second or so. Honestly, it's not really that much of a problem. They could have waited for about 20 seconds and I'd still be in front of Sebastian Vettel. So from what I'm saying, I wasn't too fussed about it. I was just like, you know what, just take your time. Just put me onto a set of wet tyres and I'll just go build the gap up again. So, yeah, out of the pits, we managed to stay in front of Stroll and Hulkenberg. So I do believe a Sauber in front of us as well. But we're in a league of our own in this Grand Prix, and this is exactly what I needed in this race. Just a clean, full race where nothing really goes wrong. But you can see Vettel there pits for the set of wet tyres. Yeah, on to lap 17 of the Grand Prix now. We're catching up to some more back markers, and you can see the car sliding around a lot in these treacherous conditions. But honestly, I'm just relishing it here, as the gap is 21 seconds now between me and Vettel. So it just keeps getting bigger here as we're now closing up to the back of Fernando Alonso. And we're trying to eventually get a lap him. Probably get him by the hairpin, I would have thought. He's not going to back off in towards this chicane, so we're going to wait till the hairpin to make our move on Fernando. But we will make it stick. And as you can see now, closing up to the back of the McLaren Honda. And we all know what the McLaren Honda's like. Absolutely terrible and useless in every single way possible. And there we go. Down the, or around the outside even, in fact, of Fernando. And we make that move stick there. And we're now up another lapped car. So yeah, that is a good set of runs for us. Now we're catching up to the back of Jolyon Palmer, and also I believe, I can't quite see the guy in front just yet, it is Van Dorn. Stoffel Van Dorn and Jolyon Palmer next on the lap list. As we're now going to be just flying through. We're literally just going straight through the entire grid here. We've got a huge train going down towards the back straight now, so we might be lapping a hell of a lot more cars come towards the end of this Canadian Grand Prix. So we're just carrying on, and you can see yet again more cars to lap. We're going past Kevin Magnussen, and I just say suck my balls, Magnussen, because I'm quicker than you. And we carry on down the back straight on lap 19, and we're just in a complete world of our own. There is no need to panic. And now on to the end of lap 19, start lap 20. Ocon got compromised during this attack, and we caught up to this train now, and we go down the inside of Ocon, who then we've got Lewis Hamilton, who's already a lap down. So Hamilton's about to go 2 laps down in this Canadian Grand Prix as the back end really stepped out on us there. But further on to lap 20, the safety car has actually come out, and the safety car has come out because of the wet weather. If you went back and had a look at the start of the race strategy, we had 4 wet conditions, and then we had 3 full lines that went sideways, which is basically monsoon style weather. So the weather has got so bad now that the safety car has actually had to come out, and that's going to put Vettel in a very strong position. But in fact, it's not actually going to, because as the safety car comes in, Vettel's about 14 seconds still behind because of all the lapped cars, because on this game they don't let the lapped cars through because it classes as overtaking under the safety car. Look, the gap's 13.8 seconds. Fair enough, it is going to drop quite considerably because I'm having to hold the field up because I am theoretically the safety car. So the gap was going to drop to about 4 seconds, but Vettel's still got to lap everyone. I've just got a nice bit of clean air to go on through now. So as you can see here, I've decided that the time is now right to bolt, and we can prepare to resume racing now. And eventually, as soon as we get to the first safety car line, which is there, we can get back racing, and we fly it through the chicane there, back in all over the shop there. But that just shows that we're really pushing, and the gap was about, as Hulkenberg actually is out of the race, sorry, before we talk about gaps there. So poor stuff from Hulkenberg, and also Carlos Sainz is out of the race, and that happened into the chicane, but the gap is 4.8 seconds, and we've got about 11 laps left in this Grand Prix, and I kind of want to build that 20-second gap back up. So if you don't mind me, Sebastian, I'm just going to absolutely bolt it and have some fun and go as fast as I possibly can, because why not? I can do what I want. And on to the final lap of the Grand Prix then. Nothing else really happened. Yeah, that was a perfect response, and you can see I'm already weaving on the back straight here as we're catching up to Felipe Massa, who actually did unlap himself from me because he pitted for intermediate tyres, but I just never to change. But coming across the line, I was a bit cheesy here. I came across the line, won the race, and then smashed up the car. I still got first because I crossed the line, but sorry Mercedes, I didn't mean to do that. It was a complete accident. There was an explosive device in my car. But anyway, we managed to win the Canadian Grand Prix in some fine style. We absolutely dominated that Grand Prix. And as you can see, look, my Mercedes is back in park for me, so it's fine. It's not broken. It was just a visual glitch. But as you can see then, like I said, it was a dominant Grand Prix. We led from start to finish. We never conceded the lead. I think we got pole position, fastest lap, and led every single lap of the race, and we won the race. So we actually did a Grand Slam in this Grand Prix. I don't think I've ever done a Grand Slam before, so yeah, that just shows that Canada, it may be Lewis Hamilton's strongest circuit, it's also mine as well. So as you can see then, collecting our podium and our trophy, and that's exactly what we needed after the DNF in Monaco. We needed to hit back, and Vettel's still doing well, of course, to get second place, which means that, you know, in theory, in the last 2 races, Vettel still closed the gap, but we managed to basically put an extra little bit of string on our championship aspirations here. But as you can see then, the full race classification, we managed to beat Vettel by 24 seconds. So it only took us 10 laps to get that gap back up to 24 seconds. And as you can see then, 3 DNFs. Lots of crashes, wet weather, safety car. In the driver's standings, the gap is now 23 points between myself and Sebastian Vettel, with Lewis Hamilton a further 63 points behind. And then in the constructor's standings, Mercedes are now just 12 points clear of Ferrari. I don't think we increased our lead. We might have done by a point, or maybe lost by a point, but it was very tight. But looking at the resource points then, you can see we've got 1,000 resource points, and now you can see that we are basically bringing back that team approval and the reputation for further events. And we've also got a what's it called? I forgot what these are called now. An invitational event. And I decided, should we do a checkpoint challenge around Singapore or an overtake challenge around Japan's short circuit? I decided to go for Japan's short circuit. Normally I would let you guys listen to this and go through it, but it wasn't really that long. Honestly, I didn't really do well at this, in fairness. I don't really know how many overtakes I got, but unfortunately we didn't complete this invitational event, so I'm just going to go through all the overtakes that I did manage to get, and as you can see here, cheekily going around the outside of the Ferrari there, and then I got warned for colliding with it. I didn't touch it. But then as you can see here, this was like another lap later now. So eventually, basically, this McLaren has got a huge amount, is very tail happy, similar to the 04 Ferrari, and it just took me a bit too long to get used to it. Because of course I've been driving the modern cars and I've just gone to a classic car, and it's a little bit different. So unfortunately, I didn't really know how it was going to pay off, but you can see we've made 3 overtakes in 2 minutes, so it kind of shows that we're off track in this one, but and the car is in rich revs, and you can see around the outside making our 4th overtake here. I think these are all 1995 Ferraris, because that's all I seem to have saw was just 95 Ferraris everywhere. But if it is, I'm not really that bothered. It's just I spotted just literally all those Ferraris. But as you can see them, we're just swooping past, and like I said, just coming through and making all of these overtakes. We've got a minute and a half to get 7 overtakes. Honestly, it's not really going to happen. I mean, it's taken us nearly half a minute to catch up to the next Ferrari. And, you know, it was a tough challenge, actually, because we could only make the overtakes in the S section. And normally, the S section is not a place where you make overtakes here, as I got very close here. And now I have a bollard basically stuck in my car, and it won't disappear. There we go, it's gone now. And as you can see, then we're going to be making our 7th overtake. Still got 5 to go with 40 seconds left, so I don't really, like I said, we never completed this challenge. It was a very difficult one, like I said, because the S section is not an overtaking spot. The S section is the spot where you just follow the cars and you wait it up, but I had to make the overtake in the S sections, and eventually I did get used to the McLaren's handling, so technically I could have gone and just restarted the session, but there's no real point. But unfortunately then we didn't complete the invitational event, but honestly it's still nice to drive the classic cars. I don't drive them a lot because they don't really have a lot of purpose to me, but if you guys did enjoy today's video, drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and I will see you guys for the next video very, very soon. Thanks for watching, take care all, peace.